All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to my How to Become a Hotel Owner in 2024 webinar. So something free, real simple. We're just gonna go through the process and answer any questions. So I'm going to introduce myself and talk about my journey from the front desk to the top desk, as my buddy Mike calls it, and what makes a hotel successful. So we're going to talk about the ownership thesis and then pathways to hotel ownership. And we'll leave some time for Q&A. Okay, so for the folks who don't know who I am, call me the hotel queen, hotel diva, because I like Beyonce. So a little bit about myself, if you don't know who I am. I've been in the industry for 15 years. I started off as a front desk agent, navigated my way to hotel ownership, $1 billion in assets. Have a book, How to Buy a Hotel, and 30 million under assets. And been featuring just about everything with the exception of Essence. So I've had ISHC, which is the International Society of Hospitality Consultants Emerging Leader Award, Georgia State University 40 Under 40, and Top 100 Influential Hospitality Leaders. All right, so there are about 59,000 hotels. I always do a trivia. All right, so there are 59,000 hotels in the United States. And then I always give out, so whoever gets it right, whoever the first person that gets it right will get a prize. It's 59,000 hotels in the United States. What's the percentage of it that's Black owned? Let's see who gets it first. Oh, she got it, Carolyn. All right, I'll give you the digital copy. Have you won my workbook before? Well, this is a different workbook. I was trying to show a copy of it. So you'll get the digital, here it is. The digital version of my roadmap. And basically it is going to break down the acquisition process, and you'll also get a replay of tonight's session. So, yep, you're right, less than 2%. So I always go with either one or two. So you got it right. So just make sure that you send me a note, and then I'll make sure that you get your book or your digital copy of it. Okay. All right. Then someone from my team will get it over to you. There you go. All right. So yes, so less than 2%, 1% of the hotels in the United States are owned by Black people. So my goal is to get more people of color in that space, okay? All right, so these are my 3 hotels. So I have an 85-room home 2 suites in El Reno, Oklahoma. We purchased that for $8.3 million. And then I have a 145-room Staybridge Suites in Indianapolis Fishers. And then I have a 86-room Hampton Inn Suites in Scottsburg, Indiana. So we acquired these 2 properties together for about $17.8 million. So they're on the same portfolio. So I don't actually have a picture of me working at the front desk. This is the closest thing I probably could find, because I was working at the front desk when I took this picture. This is like my first headshot when I was at college. And so that was actually across the street from the Hyatt. So I don't have any pictures of me. So I didn't do a good job documenting my journey. I think I do have this one picture, but I wasn't working. It was when my Nana came to visit me when I was graduating from college. So that's the closest thing I have. Because phones weren't big like what it is now, taking pictures and stuff, or at least my phone. If I did have a phone, it disappeared. So this is present. This is me now. That's me with he was 3 then. He's 5 now. So that's at the Staybridge Suites in Indianapolis Fishers and during our investor tour. So that is me as a mom / hotel owner. So tonight we're just gonna bust some myths. You personally have to have millions of dollars. You personally have to be a billionaire, and you have to have prior hotel ownership experience. That is not the case, okay? So some organizations that you should join that I think will be good for first-time hotel owners would be NABHOOD, which stands for the National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers. AHOA, which stands for the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, and the Latino Hotel Owners Association, and the American Hotel Lodging Association. The reason why I think those are some good programs for you all to join as first-time hotel owners, because I would say they're friendlier, they're inexpensive. What I mean by friendlier, because the conferences, the top industry conferences, they're really large, and a lot of them are already hotel owners, and they own like hundreds of hotels. So the conversations are very high level, and they don't break down what you need to know to be a hotel owner. So that's why I recommend those organizations. So NABHOOD, they have an annual conference every year, and their goal is to increase the percentage of Black hotel owners. The Asian American Hotel Owners Association is the largest hotel owners association, and that's educational. It's very large. It's predominantly Indian, and so but it's educational. It's a lot of vendors there, and a lot of members are owner operators, so they're more willing to help. They're either looking to buy a hotel, or they have like 1 or 2 hotels in their portfolio. So the information is more of like, it's educational, as opposed to the other conferences like NYU. I'm speaking there in June, and Alice and Hunter. Those conferences are more so for folks who are very seasoned, right? They're making deals, looking for money. It's just a different conversation. LHA is more so for folks who are in the who are Latino, and they want to increase the percentage of Latino hotel owners. Okay. And then the American Hotel Lodging Association, that's the oldest owners association, and their goal is advocacy. They're more of a legislative arm, so they're fighting for us on behalf of on the Hill, on behalf of us at the Capitol in DC and throughout different states. So pretty much each state has their own like Georgia Hotel Lodging Association, California, Illinois, they all have their own. So they're pretty much like lobbying, right? So when Airbnb came, and and there was a lot of legislation getting passed as far as I wouldn't say putting a stop to Airbnb, but holding them more accountable. So groups like the American Hotel Lodging Association and the local association, because they're lobbyists. So that's what they were getting. That's what they get paid to do, to basically fight on behalf of the hotel owners. So it's important, because you're paying tax dollars. Okay. All right. So the benefits of hotel investing would be tax benefits, hotel discounts, job creation, diversification. All of those things are important, or the benefits, right? So the first thing would be tax benefits. because you are able to write off the depreciation. If your hotel does cost segregation, so cost segregation analysis, meaning you're writing off the FF&E, you're writing off the real estate. So FF&E is like furniture and stuff like that. So all of those things can help, you know, with your tax bill, right? Another thing is my favorite personally is the hotel discounts. So when I used to work in a hotel, I was able to travel the world, and my family was able to travel the world pretty much on the discounted rate. I could travel for free. And so because of, you know, and I was like, okay, I want the same discount, but I don't want to work. So I so here you go. So I was able to take it. So that's why I was like, okay, well, let me own. So that way I could take advantage of the discount. And then there's my little one. Yeah. So, and then another thing would be job creation, which I love to do, is creating jobs. Because I started off as a front desk agent, and I was able to move my way up and take advantage of benefits and creating a life for myself. So it's not just creating jobs, it's creating careers as well. And then the diversification of assets. So a lot of people, they like to invest in hotels because they're coming from multifamily or retail. Is more of a it's more of a it's more of a it's more of a nightly lease, right? So it's more of a nightly lease of trying to you know, expand your portfolio. Okay. All right. So what makes a hotel successful? So what makes a hotel successful would be the location, brand, and operator, right? And so when you're looking for your hotel, you're looking for, okay, you're looking for, where's this hotel located, right? Because a lot of people, when they buy a hotel, well, when they buy a hotel, they're, oh, not when they buy a hotel, but when they're staying at a hotel, they're looking for the hotel, not necessarily, they're looking for the location and not the hotel. So a lot of times what people do, they, like if you're going to Disney World, you're going to Disney World for a reason, but then you want a hotel to stay, or you want a nice hotel to stay because you're going to Disney World, right? So that's something that you want to think of, you know, when you're buying your hotel. What is going to bring someone to this particular hotel, right? That's what you want to, that's what you want to, that's what you want to think about. Another thing would be the brand, right? So there are hundreds of brands, probably too much to go over. That's a whole nother class. And but I only mention these brands because they have a, what do you call, they have what do you call diversification programs, right? Or diversity programs, not diversification. So you have Choice. They just launched Soar. Let me see what it's saying. Yeah, they literally just launched Soar. It came out, they renamed it so they can have a program. Let me get you the exact name of what it's called for. You pull it up right now. Let me see. They literally just posted it. So let's see. Yep, SOAR. So it stands for supporting ownership, access, and representation. So that is Choice's program. And then Hilton has a new program for diversity, and their program is more so for capital. And well, I wouldn't say for capital, but they allow it where they want you to partner with, they help you partner with lenders. So their program is a little different than the other brands. Choice, going back to Choice, they focus on veterans and Black people and women and Hispanics and Native Americans. IHG, their program is called Lift, and they focus, and that's pretty much the same thing. They give enhancements or key money. Wyndham, their program, they have Bold and Women on the Room. Bold stands for Black Owners, Lodging and Developers. And then Women on the Room, that's their program for women. And then Best Western, I'm not sure if they have I don't think they have a diversity program or minority program focus, but think of them as the a credit union, and the other brands as a bank. They're banks, right? So Choice, you have Quality Inn and Comfort Hotels and Cambria. Hilton, you have the Hampton Inn, Home2, and Spark, which I think are good first-time hotel owners. And then IHG, Holiday Inn Express, Candlewood, Staybridge, and then Wyndham, Days Inn, Hotel, and then Best Western, their brand. So the difference between the active and passive, so you have the active investor. So an active investor will be someone like myself, where you're putting a deal together, raising capital. And then passive would be, an LP, someone who's just trying to put someone who just want to invest passively, meaning they're not trying to do all the work. So that's a passive investor. Okay. So steps, you definitely want to set a vision, set a budget deadline, and determine your pathway, which we're about to talk about. And ways to invest, you can use lines of credit, savings, retirement, life insurance, equity, and crowdfunding. So the 4 pathways to hotel ownership: crowdfunding, REITs, private investing, hotel syndication, and which we'll talk about further. So you definitely want to create your investment criteria. When do you plan to invest? Where do you plan to invest? Why are you investing? How are you going to invest? So what kind of hotel, meaning, do you want to have a limited service, select service, extended stay? And so select service and limited service, they're more like a Hampton Inn or Hyatt Place. They don't have a full service restaurant or a 3-meal restaurant. That's what will make them a full service. And extended stay, it's like a Home2 Suites has a kitchenette. So when do you plan to invest? Meaning, what's your time frame? Where do you plan? What's your location? Like, what are you looking 2 hours away from you? And these questions the brokers are going to ask you as well. Why are you investing? Are you doing it for cash flow? Are you doing it for, equity? Are you doing for additional passive investment? And then how are you going to invest? What are you going to use to invest? Which we talked about in the previous slide, right? So a passive way to invest will be REITs. So 18 different lodging REITs. You can go to REIT.com. You can work with a brokerage firm or financial advisor to help you select which one works for you. Morningstar for research. And then questions that you want to ask when you're looking at REITs, what's the historical performance? What's included in the portfolio, and what's their investment thesis, right? So does it align with yours? Some REITs, they have a lot of full service restaurants, full service hotels. A lot of them have luxury. A lot of them have extended stay, have convention. So you have to think about what works best for you and what you're looking for. Crowdfunding, you typically have to be an accredited investor. Some of the crowdfunding platforms out there is Vestor, which is mine, CrowdStreet, Realty Mogul. To look for one, you can work with the brokerage firm or a financial advisor to help you find one or help you determine which one is the best way to invest. So this is actually can be used for both accredited, for passive and active investor, because for an active investor, you can use crowdfunding to raise capital. For a passive investor, you can actually use this to invest. So questions to ask when you are going the crowdfunding route. Typically, when you're going through crowdfunding, you're investing directly into the asset, unless you're invested in a fund. So you want to know what's the return, what's the ownership group experience, and what's the minimum to invest, right? So that's what you want to look for. And so again, both accredited and non-accredited investors, and think of it as a marketplace for commercial real estate. Definitely check out Vestor. There's going to be some deals coming up. Questions to ask. What's the return? What's the ownership group? And again, what's the minimum investment is what you want to look for. So private investing, that's when you work directly with the sponsor or the active investor. You're investing directly into the asset. REITs, you're not investing directly into the asset. Depending on the structure on the crowdfunding, you're investing directly into the asset. That's something that you definitely want to pay attention to, because if you're investing directly into the asset, then you will get credit with the bank. Meaning, if you do some pathways to hotel ownership, meaning you invest passively and then you want to own actively. So from a bank standpoint, it shows that you have experience if you invest directly into the asset, even as an LP. So some people that actually, they go that route to help them get what they need as far as leverage with the brands and leverage with the bank. Sponsor is an active way. You're actively putting a deal together. You're raising capital. So the acquisition process, investment criteria, assembling a team, finding a hotel, submitting the offer, doing due diligence, and transition. So investment criteria is what we're talking about. You're basically, the investment criteria is the roadmap to your deal, because there's a lot of different deals and you can get overwhelmed. So, and that's like, think of an because a lot of times people overcomplicate it. The investment criteria would be, if you're looking to buy a house and a real estate agent or broker is like, okay, well, where do you want your house to be? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? What's your budget? Same thing with investment criteria. That's how you have to look at it as, okay, this is what I'm looking for, because that'll help the broker help you, right? Assembling a team, getting a lawyer, getting a consultant, finding a hotel. And then once you find a hotel and analyze it, you submit the offer, do your due diligence, and then transition from old owner to new owner. So I left some time for questions. If we're not connected, I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, investor.com for deals that you can look at, Investor Academy. And there we go. Thank you again. So I'm going to stop. Well, I'm going to leave that up and then just leave this time for Q&A. What? Nobody has questions? Uh-oh. Okay. Okay. It says, where would someone start if they have no experience? So that is a great question. If you don't have any experience, the first thing you probably should think about is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to buy outright, or you're trying to invest? So that all of that is a part of the investment thesis, because that'll determine which path you want to go, right? So if you don't have any experience, which way you should go. So do you want to acquire, or do you just want to start off by investing passively? So that would be the first question I'll ask him. investing. So you want it passively. So you can start off through REITs. You can invest through crowdfunding, like going to a crowdfunding site because it's a marketplace and it's different ways, different, pathways that I wouldn't say pathways, but asset classes that you can look at. So that's where I would go. As far as starting off, REITs will be the most probably economical way. REITs or stocks. Yeah, REITs, because then you'll get the reports. If you don't have as much money, the experience part, it's just because they'll give you reports so you can listen in on the quarterly calls, and then it would help that way. And then if you have enough, like maybe 10, 15, 25,000 to invest, then you can invest passively through an actual deal. Okay, and it says, okay, I got another question. It says, how do you find the right property? How do you find the right property? Do we look for existing hotels or property to convert large? So where you can go to loopnet.com. You can go to Crexy. I wouldn't go to 10X because it's more so like an auction website. So I won't go there. Oh, I put the websites in the chat. So that's where you would go to look, and then working with the hotel broker too. And so the right property, you're right, the first property may not be all pretty. It may be a Days Inn or a Motel 6. It says, how do we look for existing hotel property to convert to a hotel large? I wouldn't do that as your first property, like converting the office to hotel. That's going to be a lot of work and a lot of money. So I wouldn't start off that route because I would do that maybe as like your third or fourth project. Because by then you have money coming in, you built up a reputation with the bank, you built up a reputation with potential investors. So my first hotel purchase came about, Mike and I, we connected through a broker actually in 2019. And we never met because I think I just had my baby. And then he was in Ohio, I was in Georgia. So we actually met, which I don't know if we didn't meet. Well, if it probably COVID didn't happen, we probably would have met sooner. It was just COVID, so we couldn't talk. So we met later in the conference. But we came together, and he actually found this deal through a broker. It was during COVID. The owner over leveraged, and what I mean by over leverage, he had too much hotels on debt, like he had too many hotels on a loan. He developed too many hotels, and so he had to get rid of them basically. So he wouldn't lose. So he went foreclosed, and so that's how we got the deal. So we assumed the loan. So we basically took over the loan. He had a really good interest rate. It was like 4.5%. So we still have a 4.5% interest rate. And that's how, and we acquired, and then since we assumed the loan, we put about 10% down. I don't even think we put, we put about 10% down. And that covered the mortgage and the insurance for a year and the hole that he was in. So that's how we got into our first deal. That was God right there, because I don't know if you're gonna be able to find a deal like that again. And I wouldn't even try to look for it. So I would, because those deals are hard to come by. So we got another question. It says, I imagine the franchise cost ranges and prices significantly, but can you give me some rough range figures? Appreciate this will be hard. What's the minimum? No. That's a good question. So the franchise cost, you mean every month? So you're looking at franchise. So after you open a hotel, you're probably looking at 11 to 13% in franchise fees. So that's the marketing fee, that's paying to use there. And what that marketing fee is, you're part of their reservation system, you're part of their, then you have to pay to use, pay to be a part of Hilton, pay to be a part of Choice. Like, you're using their name to help you with your business, right? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of Trump, and if you are, that's fine. But basically with his hotels, he has Trump hotels. And so he licensed his name. He licensed his brand to the owner. Like, I don't even think he owns any of the hotels. I think it's maybe just one, but he licenses names, right? So that's what the other brands do. They pretty much license their name. So license a Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt. So you're looking at probably 10 to 13% every month that comes out of your revenue that goes to the brand. And then upfront costs, you'll have to pay what is called an application fee. And that's non-refundable. So it could be from the 4 to 6 figures, depending on the brand. You'll have to pay, if you have to get a PIP, you have to pay for somebody to look at. So it is a lot of fees associated. And then the franchise fee is basically, will you get if basically just seeing if you're the right fit for that particular brand. Yeah. So it's not really like an exact number, it's more of a percentage. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, great. It says, have you ever attracted private investors? And if so, how do you go about it? Oh, yeah. So I've attracted, that's pretty much how I got on my investors too. So to attract private investors, the biggest thing is with private investors, they have to believe in you and they have to believe in the project. So really they have to believe in you to see that you're capable of executing it. You have the best project in the world, but if they don't feel like that you can execute it or manage it, then they won't work with you. And so really what you have to do, people have to get to know you, and people have to not only do they have to get to know you, but they have to see that you've done something, right? So it could be people that because I attracted investors before I made news, right? And so it was just, constantly being on podcasts, networking. And also, just because you may know somebody who you think is wealthy, they may not invest with you, right? So really just getting out there, networking, and talking to like-minded individuals, meaning folks who would, like, the people who would invest in commercial real estate will probably be more inclined to invest in hotels because they get it. They may not never invested in hotels, but they get the investing in, they get the long term and maybe a minute. So you want to deal with folks who understand that it's going to be a while before they get their money back. Residential, they may get their money back like in a year or two. That doesn't happen in hotels. Like, you may start getting dividends after year one, but you're not getting your full investment. So that's why a lot of times people use their retirement to invest. And so how did I start? Like I said, I was like doing podcasts, I was doing webinars. It was a lot of education. When I came out talking about hotel investing, it was like 2019 and nobody was really talking about it. Everybody was talking about multifamily and residential. And then Clubhouse came and I was the only one on the stage talking about hotels. And then so I was able to build an audience. And then when I had a deal, and they ran the numbers and they were able to invest. So, and then my first investors, they invested in everything I've done, and now they have their own hotel. So they actually have 2 hotels that they own, not just invest passively, but they own as general partners. It says, what percentage did you give the investors back? So we did 2x, which is 2 times their money. So if they invested 25,000, when we sell the hotel, they're supposed to get 50,000 back. So you can't go off of what I said because every deal is different. The deal that you may put together, you may not be able to afford to give them 50% back. You may only be able to give them 35% back or 25% back. meaning 1.75x or something like that. So I wouldn't go about it that way. I would go about it based off the deal. Because the strategy may be different, meaning, and you may be able to give them back more. Like you may be able to find a, a days in, and it has 5 years left on the license, and then you buy the rights to Hilton Spark, so nobody else will buy the rights, and then 5 years you convert it to a Hilton Spark. So now your exit strategy is a lot higher than it would be if you kept it as a days in. So instead of a 2x, now it's a 4x. So you're quadrupling in your investors' money just based off that strategy. So I wouldn't go by my deal. I would go by your deal and the investment strategy and how you go for it. It says, what are the hotels make? My hotels are just hotels in general. And then how long did it break even? What do you mean by break even? You mean in the folks getting their investors back plus the return? So the investors, they won't get their money back, their full investment back or their initial investment back until we sell the hotel or refi. So I don't know if that'll answer your question about the break even. All right, these are some good questions. Do we have anything else? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I just answered. The break even is the money you put in and getting it back out, right? When we sell or refinance, the break even is basically if you put in 25,000, when you gonna get your 25,000 back. So, and then the return would be if you put 25,000 and you get 25,000 plus more money, then that's a return. But you wouldn't break even until we sell or refinance the hotel. So hopefully that answers the questions. Do you partner with diverse suppliers for hotel offerings? So how that works, I think I had something on IG, like a checklist. So how that works, you will have to partner. So I'm a franchisee of Hilton. So whatever you put together, I just can't put it in a hotel. And the reason why, because when you're a franchisee, you have to adhere to the brand standards. So if someone's checking into when someone's checking into when someone is checking into a Hampton Inn in Americus, Georgia, they should get the same service as they would checking into a Hampton Inn in New York City. So they can't be popcorn at the front desk in Americus and then popcorn in New York City, right? So be careful when you go to hotels trying to partner because you need to understand the target audience, right? So the hotels have a lot of different brands. And so my hotel, if you produce something that's mostly for ethnic or minorities, it wouldn't work in my hotel because the majority of my guests are white. So I get a lot of people that have like black hair care. Like it won't work in my hotel. Like, because the guests won't use it. So it wouldn't even make any sense. And then my brands are limited service brands, and that just wouldn't work well. Right. So you have to understand who your target audience. Um, so what you could do is just go, I have even a whole course on this, but what you can do is just like Google Hilton supplier, Marriott supplier, and just apply to become a supplier. But I would recommend that you do your research though, because it's a lot of different brands within the brands. So whatever you do, you need to figure out what works with the different brands. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, these are some great questions. Do we have any more? So the hotel that we acquired, it was already existing. So it was like once we closed, we were ready to go. It's like, so how it works, you bring in a management company maybe like a month or two before you acquire. So they come in and they do their checks and they look for people and they do the team, all of this during the closing process. So when it's time to change ownership, is ready to go. Like if somebody's checking in and checking out of the hotel, they didn't know, they shouldn't know they shouldn't feel like it's a new owner. Like we could put a letter in or send out an email or probably like a letter, just say, hey, it's new ownership. But it takes like a month or two, just changing the systems over, training the staff because it's a different culture. So the management company or the new owner may want to do things differently. They may want to let go some folks. So they may not like, the general manager. So like, hey, you gotta go. Or the director of sales. So the acquisition is a flip of a switch, but it's the time before you change in ownership. At what stage did it become hands-off completely for you, or was this done by the management team? It's more hands-off for me now because we have an asset manager. We had to get more involved because of the management company. We had to switch management companies, so that's why I had to get more involved. And then now, since we have an asset manager who's doing a great job, by the way, Tommy, I don't know if you seen us do some webinars and stuff together. So he's doing an excellent job of helping out with the asset management process. So that way I won't have to be so hands-on. And so basically an asset manager is a owner's rep. And you do not want to be hands-off when you have a management company, because that's not their hotel, and management companies, they care about their bottom line and not yours. They say they do, but they really don't. How many rooms? So I have three. So I have the Home 2 Suites has 85 rooms. The Saybridge Suites have 145. And then the Home 2 Suites has 86. Any more questions? So since we acquired the hotel, we already started making profits. Uh, but we didn't start issuing funds to our investors until after year one because we wanted to build up the cash reserve. So running costs versus what's coming in per month. What do you mean by that? What do you mean running costs? Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's called NOI. So net operating income. So it was already generating a positive net operating. Well, when we came in, it generated a net operating income. And then it helped because we paid the mortgage in advance. Right. We paid the mortgage a year in advance plus the insurance. So that helped out a lot. Um, so the net operating income is the difference between the revenue and expenses. And so we acquired it with the management company, and by us paying the mortgage in advance, it generated a positive profit. but we put that money to side to build the cash reserve, and then the investors, we didn't start distributing dividends until year one, till after year one. So hopefully that answers the question. Does that help? Does that make sense? Okay, great. Okay, awesome. We have any more questions? Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, well, if there's no more questions, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all next time. Thank you. This was great. I hope
Thank
that
you
y'all,
so much.
thank you. Oh, Ronrico, did we answer your question? Okay. Oh, okay. All right, great. All right.
Excuse me. So, hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Just a quick question. So what's next? You've done this masterclass. What's next?
Oh, okay. Really, well, it was just my way of saying thank you, free class. Answer any questions that you want or that you had. We do offer programs such as a mastermind, weekly mastermind, and then a uh uh one-on-one coaching. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know.
Cool. Yeah. If you send me the details, I'll drop my email. I think you've got it, but just so you know who I am, and then I'll drop my phone number as well. Um,
Okay.
on WhatsApp. Yeah. Uh,
Okay.
have you done this like overseas before?
So we're going to Belize in June, and I went to Turks and Caicos in June of 2022. So when I mean overseas, meaning outside of the country, but not like in Europe. I've been overseas, but I haven't taught a class on this overseas.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. All right. It'll be great to catch up with you. Well, thank you for this lovely class you've put together. Thanks for answering all my questions.
All right, thank you. I'll send you some information if anyone else is interested and more classes, let me know.
Um,
And we'll
hello.
make sure we'll get you in the right program.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about your consulting experience and if you have any advice for a new consultant.
New consult. What kind of consulting do you do?
I work at CBRE Hotels, and so I do like hotel consulting, appraisal work, market studies.
Yeah, fun stuff. I got my start working at Horwath HCL, and so we pretty much did the same thing, except your firm was a lot larger. So I learned feasibility studies, and I never done an appraisal, but pretty much an appraisal is a feasibility study with evaluation, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then as far as consulting, started my consulting business, just the knowledge that I gained by being an analyst and, just going to these conferences and put myself out there and like going to brand days. Like brands have different brand days, like Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, they'll have like some type of diversity day. And
Okay.
they just go out and talk about the brand. And so a lot of times with the brands, they only give you information on the brands. They don't walk you through what I walk through, right? Or what a consultant would do. Like they're just going to be like, oh, here's your, where's your feasibility study? And then you're gonna be like, oh, I didn't need one. You know what I mean? So that's why it's good to go into the brand days because they don't know they need all that. Like they're going in thinking Marriott's gonna show them the way. And Marriott's gonna be like, oh, I can't help you with financing. And they're like, wait, what? This is what I'm here. You know what I mean? So so the consultant is basically helping, like what I talked about today. I've automated my consulting. That's why I do the courses, and instead of more like the one-on-one, I do the courses. And then when people, I don't really do consulting as much as I used to because of my platform. So I do have one consultant client. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He's in Tucson, Arizona. So that project is about 90 million. And so he gets one-on-one. Actually, you all did, CBRE did his feasibility study.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So are you looking to become an entrepreneur?
I am, yes. That's my goal. Hotel ownership is my goal, but I've been with CBRE since I graduated 2 years ago, but it's still just so broad for me to just
Right.
understand,
Yeah. So I would say find a niche, right? Like find
Okay.
something, because hotels are so broad, right? And so like, and you know this, right? Me
Right.
consulting on it's like me consulting on a lot of my contacts when I came in, it came from consulting. A lot of the hotels were really big projects, like 50 million plus.
Okay.
The team that you would use for $8 million deal is different from the $50 million plus deal. Does that make sense?
That makes
So
sense.
you got to start building your team having like, okay, having different people to do feasibility studies, having different people to do, have different people to do, appraisals, or have different people to do, can you model? Like, do you know how to put together performance and stuff together, right? So
Yes, right.
So just finding out what they need, and then do you want to do feasibility studies? Maybe you want to do your own feasibility studies, right?
Right.
So figure out like what you want to focus on, and don't be so like CBRE is so broad because it's a one-stop shop. For those who don't know what CBRE is, it's a large commercial real estate firm. They just don't just do hotels, they do everything else. They do pretty much all commercial real estate. So they help you find money, they help you find the hotels, they do the appraisals, they do the feasibility studies, they do consulting, they do the market research. A lot of data comes from them. They bought PKF. PKF was probably one of the largest and world renowned known feasibility study or market research firm. And so, it's pretty much a one-stop shop. But when you're a solopreneur, it's hard to be a one-stop shop, right? Because they have different buckets to deal with different levels. Like they can find money for $100 million hotel, but they don't want to find money for a $5 million hotel, right? That's not enough, right? So for you, I would say I would get more experience. I don't think 2 years is enough. It's good for maybe like, some of the folks that are like taking my calls and stuff, or like my students, because they're really new. So they may need help with like modeling, or like, they may need, the biggest thing is, oh, this is wrong. The biggest thing is, um, understanding like, the like, what do you want to do? That would be like the biggest thing. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Hopefully that helps. Yeah, I would like I said, while you're at CBRE, I would just like do research and start building like your team, meaning like your go-to people. Like and like going to these conferences and just, you know, because what people need to know is how to find money, start building relationships with brokers, start doing stuff outside of CBRE, and then see which one will work. See which type of hotel. Do you want to focus on extended stay, or do you want to focus on full service? Do you want to
Okay.
focus on convention, or do you want to focus on economy?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're focusing on the smaller hotels, you know, they're looking to grow. So you want to build that relationship, you know, helping them find brokers. Maybe
Okay.
you know how to be, I don't know if you have your broker's license. So that's what I would
Mhm.
look at.
Okay. That helps a lot.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry for the folks that just joined. That email went out. It went out by mistake. The webinar actually just ended. So sorry about that. And so I'll make sure I get you all a replay of what happened tonight. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I actually have to jump on. I have my group coaching call that we offer. It's an 8-week group coaching, and so we meet once a week for 8 weeks, and so they're about to pitch their deal. So a part of it is they pitch their deal. So really they find a deal. We connect them with a broker that helps them with the financing. They go find a deal, and then they pitch. Throughout the 8 weeks, they practice pitching their deal, and so I critique them so they can learn how to raise money, because you have to pitch for everything. You have to pitch to raise capital, you have to pitch to the brands, and you have to pitch to the lenders. So if y'all want to learn more about that, let me know. But right now, I'm so sorry. The wrong email was sent out. The wrong email was sent out. And so we'll have to, I'll make sure I'll get everybody the correct replay so everybody can watch it. I'm so sorry, you guys. But thank you all so much for tuning in.
Thank you again. Bye.
Thank you. I'll make sure I get a replay. Thank you all. Have a good night.